Hey there, it's Lenny McGill with the GlockStore Performance and Custom Shop here in the Nashville studios today, and we're going to talk about magazines, in particular, Glock magazines. Makes sense, right? I get a lot of questions about Glock magazines, and it's really interesting because over the years, there have been some changes to the magazines, and there's been some introductions that, kind of confuse people a little bit. That the G43X is a 9mm, but it's a single stack, not to be confused with the Glock, say 19 single stack 10 round magazine. It's not really a single stack, but it kind of looks like a single stack. So some people, make a mistake and they order the 43 magazine for their Glock 19 and it doesn't work, right? So anyways, I saw a lot of interesting questions and I thought, let's just do an overview of all the magazines, comparing Gen 3 to Gen 5, looking at all the different accessories for magazines, and kind of making sure that you as a consumer understand how they fit, where they fit, and basically all about Glock magazines, because there's lots to know. And this is going to be a long video, so I'm going to do it in segments. So you can, if you already know that segment, just click on to the next one. All right, so you ready to start? Here we go. Okay, here we go. So the low-hanging fruit here on this magazine video is basically the difference between the Gen 3-4 magazines and the new Gen 5 magazines. A lot of people have questions. Are they compatible? And I'm here to tell you yes. So I've got in my left hand a 17-round Glock 17 Gen 5 magazine. You can see the Gen 5 magazine, you'll know just by looking at it, it has the orange follower. Okay, the other difference on the Gen 5 magazine is the floor plate is extended in the front there. And that was done so that you can actually have something to grab hold of. You'll notice on the Gen 3, it's obviously got a black follower. And the floor plate, or base plate, is basically flush almost. Okay, it doesn't have that bump out there. Now, the big question was, are they compatible? Can I put my Gen 3-4 magazine into my Gen 5 Glock? Well, here's a Glock 19, okay? And so I've got a Gen 3 magazine right here. And I'll go ahead and I'll just stick it right in, and yes, it fits. Looks like that. Now, of course, the Gen 5 magazine has that little piece that goes in and kind of completes a little bit better. So that's the Gen 5 magazine. Now, the other question is, will this fit in my Gen 3? So if you have a Gen 3 Glock and you have a Gen 5 magazine, will it fit? Of course. There it is. It fits rather nicely. So Glock is very, aware of the fact that your generations all the way up and down, even Gen 1 magazines will fit into Gen 5, and likewise, the Gen 5 magazines will fit into the Gen 1. So no matter where you're at, the magazines always fit in your gun. Now that's the basic scenario with the Gen 3-4 magazines, again with the black follower and the standard base plate, versus the Gen 5 magazines with the orange follower and the extended plate there. But the key fact to keep, the takeaway here is that they are compatible. You can go back and forth. Let's move on to the next segment. All right, oftentimes people want to go ahead and take their magazine apart. And I will tell you that it's relatively easy if you have the right tools. This is a brand new magazine, so it's going to be a little tougher the first time you do it. If you look at the magazine body, on the bottom is the base plate, and on the bottom of that is a little hole that has, from the insert plate inside, a little post that sticks in there and kind of captures it onto the body of the magazine. So it captures the base plate on the body of the magazine in two ways. One, that little insert plate and the post sticks out so it doesn't come off. And two, it has two little ears here on the body of the magazine that intersect with, say, like a little slot that is on the base plate. And so when you push it on there, it's plastic, it kind of clicks into place. So it is captured onto the bottom so it doesn't fall off or explode when it drops on the ground. If you have a loaded magazine and you don't have those in place and it falls on the ground, it typically goes bloom. And we've seen that in competitions before. If you've shot a lot and you've been around guys who'd like to tinker with their guns, someone's going to have an exploding magazine. It usually comes out the other way. All right, so one of the ways you can take this apart, and the hard way, should I say, is to grab a punch out of your punch set. So let me grab that punch, and I'll show you. This is a difficult way to do it, and I'm not going to do it this way. I'm just going to show you how it can be done. I'm going to take kind of a bigger punch because it's a big hole, and I'm going to stick it into there like so. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Right there's that little hole, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to depress that post. It's spring loaded. And then I'm going to get up on top of this thing, and I'm going to push down. Now takes a little bit of effort. A lot of people will say, "Oh, this is tough," and it is tough. But what you want to do is you don't want to do it out here. You want to get up on top of it and come up on top like so. In fact, I really want to get it in my lap, and it's not going to come too easy. So I'm not going to mess with it here on video because it's just no fun. Because we have developed a tool. It's called a magazine disassembly tool, and the reason we use this because that is very difficult. Okay, I mean, I could probably get it here. It's going to take me a little bit of time, but I'm going to tell you, the first time is very difficult. With this, it's a lot easier. Watch this. You have a little post here that intersects with the hole in the base plate of the magazine. Stick that in, and now it's like a can opener. Okay, I'm going to use leverage here. So now it still takes a little bit of effort, and you'll hear it pop. You want to be careful not to take it off too far, because there's a spring in there. This spring loaded, it'll shoot across the room. That spring is yay long, and it's compressed into this little body. So be aware of the direction of that face. You don't want to, hit yourself in the eye or hit someone across the room in the eye. So here it comes. I got the MDT, the magazine disassembly tool, loaded, and I'm going to go ahead and just pop this off like that. And that's basically it right there. So I defeated the little ears, and I'm going to show you those in just a second. Now here's the trick, okay? So I've got it off a little bit. I can push the rest off with my thumb, but I want to be very cognizant of the fact that that spring is in there. In fact, you can kind of see it right there, just a little bit. I don't know, there it is. There's the silver part right there. Okay, so I'm going to be very careful that as I push it off, that I capture the insert plate inside. So let's go ahead and walk it off slowly but surely. Here it comes. All right, and I want to make sure my thumb is on top of this thing. So here, I've cleared the little tabs on the side of the body of the magazine. I'll show you those in just a second. And there's the base plate. Okay, I'm going to put that down. I've captured the spring with my thumb. Slowly let it go. And this is called the insert plate. So you'll have really like 4 pieces or 5 pieces to a magazine. Base plate, insert plate. Now you'll notice that the insert plate has that post on it, like we talked about, right here. Notice the hole in the base plate, and notice how they intersect with one another. And that's how it lives. And this little insert plate kind of captures the spring. You'll see it has a little ridge right here that the spring rests on. So that's what is happening inside the magazine. And when you push that up, you're basically just getting it off there so you can actually pull it off. But like I said, on the body of the magazine, there are 2 tabs. And that's the tab right there. Boom. And there's one on the other side. Boom. And that captures itself in these little slots that are right here on the base plate. Okay, I think you can see them right now. Right there and right over here on this side. And that's what helps keep the magazine intact. But you will, at some point, have to disassemble your magazine because they get dusty and dirty sometimes, depending upon where you shoot. And so you'll want to go ahead and clean it out. We're going to talk about that in just a second, but let me go ahead and complete the disassembly here. So there's the base plate, the insert plate. Here is the magazine spring and the follower. Now the followers are different for different calibers, different sizes, right? As well as for the 10 round or the higher capacity, the 17 round or say the 15 round. So be aware of the follower that you have. They will be usually marked, one will say 9mm or whatever, but they are, like I said, keyed to the specific quantity of rounds that are in the actual gun itself. Now, here's the spring. The follower is kind of captured on it just by pressure. So I'm going to pop it off. You'll see how it went on, right? And there's inside here, it's just a couple little ridges that it kind of captures that spring. If you think about what's going on, it's feeding rounds. So you always want to have it feed upwards. So when you put it back in, it goes upwards towards the front of the magazine. The magazine is coiled in a sense that it gets a little bit larger as it goes down to the base. And you'll see that this base will live inside of the insert plate that we talked about earlier, just like that. Just kind of sits there, doesn't capture, it just sits on top of it. All right, so there's the spring out of a brand new magazine. It's a little bit wonky, but it's a brand new magazine and it works. So, I don't know why it's crooked, but usually you would think they're going to be a little bit straighter, but this one just happens to be wonked out a little bit. Like I said, it's just brand new. So, and so there's, like I said here, there are 5 parts. The magazine body, which, okay, for all of you who don't know, is lined with metal. It's lined with metal for a reason. It allows the rounds to not bulge out the actual magazine body. When Glock first came out, they had plastic magazines without the metal lining. And a lot of people were not happy with that because they wanted to have drop-free magazines where they actually drop out when you push the button. So if you want to look at it like this, drop-free magazine, you push the button and out it comes by itself. I believe that what I've heard, when Gaston Glock developed the Glock, he developed for the military. And his concept was not to have a drop-free magazine, but rather to have a magazine that when you depress the button, it would disengage, but it would stop there so that you would then get the replacement, take this, hold on to it, and not let it fall on the battlefield so you lose it, put it in your pocket, and replace the magazine. That was the concept behind a non-drop-free magazine, is, hey, we don't want to lose those on a battlefield. Now, of course, most of the people, who are shooting Glocks nowadays in America are not on a battlefield, luckily. So we want drop-free magazines. We want magazines that come out because we want to be able to shoot, reload fast, and not worry about the magazine. So it will fall on the ground. That's when they get dirty. That's when you may need to take it apart, and you may need to clean it. So let's talk about cleaning. You can actually put all these components into your dishwasher or just put them in some water and just rinse them out and just let them dry and then reassemble it. Do not oil anything. Okay, if you're fanatic about oil, I would take an oil cloth and just dab the spring a little bit. But do not put a lot of oil in here because it'll gunk up with dust and debris, and that may prevent it from operating smoothly. So they don't need oil. Like I said, you can just wash this thing out, let it dry, and reassemble it. And we're going to reassemble it right now. So first thing we want to do is take our spring, our magazine spring. And when you look at this, by the way, I do want to show you one other thing. You want to count the coils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a 9 or 10 coil spring. Depends if they count that top one or not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if I count on the other side. So it's a 10 coil spring. So be aware that that's what fits a Glock 17 round magazine. I will say this, is that the 10 round magazines that are sold in California and some other states that don't allow you to be free, those magazine springs are different than the 17 round springs. Found that out the other day, the hard way. So, all right, now, again, follower, think about what's happening here. It does load in a certain way. It sits in a certain way. When you take it apart, you should observe all this so you know how to put it back together. But this is the back side that goes to the back side of the magazine. And remember we talked about the spring loading up. So I'm going to take the spring and I'm going to capture it onto the follower just by pressing it in there. And you may hear it snap or not. Let's see. Yep. There it is. Captured now. Snapped right in place. Perfect. Now, you really can't put this in backwards, to be honest. It's just not going to go too much farther. So if you put it in the right way, it goes all the way up, and there's the follower at the top. Now we want to go ahead and take our insert plate, which is a small flat plate, with the post facing upwards so that I can capture it with the base plate. And I'm going to go ahead and capture the spring with my thumb and this base plate. So I put the base plate right on top of it and kind of push down. And again, you should probably wear safety glasses or be cognizant of that spring because you don't want it to fly across the room and hit anybody. So now I've got it captured, right? And I'm going to go ahead and take my base plate and just kind of push it straight up there. And now, if you want, you can actually use the table. Just push straight down to go over top of those two little tabs. And that's it. And then I'm going to push the rest with my thumb. And you see and hear it click into place. Basically, the spring is all the way down now. It's gone ahead and secured itself into the hole in the base plate. And that is the disassembly, cleaning, a little bit more about your Glock magazines. Let's move on to the next segment. Okay, now, here's another facet of the magazines. It's pretty interesting, and what's really cool about Glock and how they developed the whole system of Glock firearms, Glock magazines, and how they intertwine with each other. A lot of similarities, a lot of parts are used the same, but the magazines are also similar and can be used in different guns, and a lot of people are not aware of that. But here, let's go ahead and look at this real quick. This is a Glock 19 Gen 5. It is empty. All right, here's a Glock 17 Gen 3. Magazine's out of it. It's empty as well. And this is a Glock 26 Gen 3, and it's empty. All right, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5. Really, again, we talked about that earlier. The magazines are going to fit any which way. Okay, so obviously the longer magazine, if you look at all three of these magazines right here, I've got a 17, 19, and 26. Boom, boom. There's the lineup, okay? So you have, let me get this out of the way a little bit. So you have your 26, you have your 19, and your 17 magazine. Obviously, the 17 magazine is longer than the 19 because the grip is longer. 26, same thing. It's a shorter magazine because the grip is shorter. However, these magazines will fit into the gun in many different ways. So let me go ahead and show you first of all. Here's the Glock 17. 17 round magazine, boom, fits flush just like it's supposed to. Push the magazine release button, mag catch that's also known as, out comes the magazine. This same magazine will also fit into this is a Gen 3 magazine, will also fit into a Gen 5 Glock 19. Look at that. Now it's gonna fit and function just like you want it to, all right? Because everything up on the top is the same, it's just a little bit longer. The 17 magazine is a little bit longer than the 19 frame. So you can actually shoot a 17 magazine in a 19. A lot of people, have that question. Boom, there it comes. Now, that same 17 round Glock 17 magazine will also fit into your G26. And so I put it in, and you'll see that it sticks out even further. All right, now we have a solution for that, and I'm going to show you that a little bit later on. It's called the X grip, but right now we're going to continue on with this conversation. Now, another thing that's pretty interesting is that the 19 magazine, same concept. It's going to fit natively into a Glock 19, right? But it's also going to fit into the 26. Boom. And that's a nice little package right there. You have 15 rounds with this tiny little slide. What you should be aware of, and it's probably pretty obvious, but I will have to say it because I've had people call me on it, is that the Glock 26 magazine, right, fits obviously into the Glock 26, but it will not fit and function in the Glock 19, okay? Kind of goes in, but it just doesn't click shut. Okay, it's not going to fit and function in the Glock 17. Same concept. Just won't, not long enough, right? You can just see it. Likewise, and I have to say it, is the Glock 19 magazine is not going to fit into the Glock 17. Okay, it kind of locks up, right? But it's not going to lock up to the point where it's going to cycle around. Nothing. It's just not long enough. It's just missing the whole slide. So a lot of people, have made that mistake. They've actually ordered a Glock 19 magazine because I want a 15-round magazine for my Glock 17. Well, it doesn't happen. All these magazines we're talking about are available in 10-round versions for you people in California, behind enemy lines in a sense. And other states now are starting to go to 10-rounders as well. So the 10-round magazine concept is the same. The Glock 17 10-round magazine will fit into the 19 or the 26. The Glock 19 10-round magazine will fit into the 26. So be aware that it's really about the size, the length of the magazine, and if it's going to be able to lock up into the notch here that's on the magazine body with the what they call the magazine catch or mag release. That's the mag release button. The magazine catch is the mechanism that actually catches the magazine into the frame. And then I just release it by pushing the button. Boom. So that's the skinny on the magazines and how they fit into different guns. Let's move on to the next segment. Okay, before we move much further, I think we should go ahead and show you how to load magazines. Now, a lot of people, obviously know how to load magazines, right? Hate to have to go this low, but I am because I have people who sometimes, have trouble loading magazines. So I've got 4 rounds of ammunition here. Okay, this is just practice ammo. It's inert, so it's not loaded. Can't necessarily fire this down the range. Okay, the old-fashioned way to do it is by hand. Okay, so if I'm right-handed, if I grab the magazine in my left hand, kind of like so, and I have my thumb available, I can use the thumb as a vehicle to help manage this loading process. So my first step is to take the magazine and kind of anchor it down somewhere, take the round and actually place it into the follower behind the feed lips. And the feed lips are right here, and they're steel. Okay, that's part of that metal that's lining the entire magazine. So you need to get underneath those. So you need to compress the magazine and push forward and do it again. Now here's where your thumb comes into play. So now that I've covered the follower, I need to get on top of the round, and I like to push down with my thumb a little bit to help it get started. Push down and push in. Same thing again. Push down my thumb and then find it up here and down again. And then one more time, down with the thumb, and here comes the other thumb, boom. Now, if you do that 100 times, your thumb is going to get kind of calloused, kind of sore. So there is a solution for that. Glock actually gives a magazine loader, okay, and we have another aftermarket magazine loader called the Lula loader. These come with the gun. The Glock factory comes with the gun, and it actually it works. It's slow, but it works. So I'm going to show you that real quick. So basically, what you do is you take your Glock factory loader, slide it over top of the magazine. Okay. Now you'll see the pressure point is like it actually allows me and helps me push the follower down and the spring down with a big gross movement without having to use my fingers and thumbs. So boom, and I just drop the magazine in, or the round in, excuse me, and let it go. And here comes the next one. Boom. Here it comes. You got to kind of time it, so you got to let go. This thing is a pain. Here you go. So you push it down. You get the round started, then you have to let it go and just push it in. All right? It works. It's not bad. And again, it's free. It comes included in your box. The upgrade to that, and what most people who are in the business who shoot a little bit or a lot are going to use what they call the Lula loader. And it's a ingenious little device. We sell a ton of them because it makes loading so much easier. So, same concept. Flat spot goes on the flat spot of the magazine, boom, on top. This one is now a spring-loaded tongue that actually pushes down the follower. I seat the magazine, let that go, and come back up and just do it again. I mean, it's really that easy. Boom, boom. Make sure you guys can see that. So boom, come up here, come down, and just place it in. Don't have to do anything else except a gross muscle movement here. You can actually do that up here on your belly. You can do it while you're standing. You don't need a table. That's the nice thing about this. It's easy to do, like I said, just across, onto your stomach, and it really makes loading a pleasure, especially when you get into the big stick magazines, which we're going to talk about in the next segment. All right, now it's going to be a little fun because everybody loves when we talk about the big stick, especially those guys in California who can't get one of these. This is the 33 round Glock factory magazine. It's basically a 31 round magazine with a +2 extension on the bottom. You can see the extension. This little base plate is a little bit bigger than the other ones. It's fun because you can load on Tuesday and shoot through Sunday, really, basically. Again, they're illegal in California and certain other states for whatever reason. There's also a 24 round 9mm magazine available. And it's basically the same concept. It doesn't have the extension, just as 24 rounds, not quite as long. And there's some aftermarket higher capacity, or say big stick. This is a Magpool. I think this is 25 rounds or 20. What does that say? 27 rounds is what it is. So, you know, I mean, when push comes to shove, everybody really wants the Glock factory magazines. The Magpools have been around for a while. They work. You know, they're. I would rather have Glock factory personally. So, now a couple things about these, which is really neat. They do fit into any of the 9mm double stack guns. Just stick out a little bit. Okay, but they do fit and function. A lot of people use these also in their PCC, the pistol caliber carbine, because of course you have a lot more rounds and it's great for competition. You just shoot and not have to worry about reloading. Here it is in a Glock 26. You can see it sticks out. Here's what the 24 round magazine looks like. Of course it sticks out, but bottom line is it works, it fits, it functions, and it's going to work in any of the guns. Like I said, Gen 3, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 4, Gen 5. If it's 9mm and if it's double stack, which means it's a wider frame. Now, there's a slim line frame. We can show you that in a little bit. But the double stack frame is what we're talking about. That would be the 17, 19, 26, 34. 45 is another version of that. It's going to fit into all those guns and function as intended. But it's fun because loading magazines when you're shooting is no fun. So that's where these big stick magazines come into play. Okay, earlier we talked about how the Glock 19 magazine will fit into a Glock 26, or a Glock 17 will fit into a Glock 26, or a Glock 17 will fit into a Glock 19. Kind of looks like this. Remember, here's your Glock 19 magazine, here's your Glock 26, and we have a little bit of space on the bottom here. There's a solution for that actually will give you a full grip. Now, one of the great things about the 26 is it's concealable. It's small, right? It's a small frame. Small slide, small frame, easy. But the bad thing about this gun is it doesn't allow you to get a good grip. You can see a lot of my fingers are falling off there. And, you know, it's good for first 2 or 3 shots, but as you shoot this thing, and especially being very aggressive, no matter what technique you have, you're going to kind of start to roll off the bottom of this thing unless you have a solution, which would be some type of extension on the bottom of this grip. So, that's where the X-Grip comes in, and that's what I was going to show you here. This is the X-Grip. It's available for all kinds of different combinations. The one I'm going to show you right now is the X-Grip with the 19 magazine going into a 26. Now, I've got a full video on this on another product somewhere here on the website. But this one, and now, again, if you think about it, just read the writing. It goes up like that. You don't want to put it upside down. Read the writing. The back side is there. The front side would be the finger groove side. So I'm going to slip it over the magazine and just slip it all the way down. And there it goes like that. Now watch what happens here. So all of a sudden we went from a bare magazine with, you know, no real grip to all of a sudden now I've got basically a Glock 19 grip with a 26 upper. So this is a great little package because it's very concealable. Again, smaller frame or smaller slide, and the frame now is extended just enough to be able to get that firm grip on it that'll allow me to shoot shot to shot rapidly without degrading my grip. And if your grip goes bad, your shots go bad. That's just that simple. Accuracy really starts with the grip. I mean, if your grip is all over the place, the shots are going to be all over the place. So you want to be consistent with that. And the way to be consistent is to have a good firm grip on it, wrapping that left hand around it, but also having something to to bite onto, and that's what this X grip does for the that package. Another version of that is where you take, say, the 17 magazine, and you put it into the Glock 19, which is right here. So here's Glock 19. You can see I'm falling off that a little bit. Not really, but enough. If I wanted to have a full grip, I would put the Glock 17 to 19 X grip on, and all of a sudden now I've got a place for my left hand pinky and all that. So I'm telling you what, these X grips are huge. We sell a ton of them because they really do work. They give you a better grip if you're going to be taking a longer magazine and putting it into a shorter gun. That's what the X grip's all about. I'll show you that for the G43X coming up in one of the segments coming up next. Okay, one of the most popular guns in America today is the Glock 43X, which was preceded by the Glock 43. So, the Glock 43 was their first, well, they had the 42 first, which is a 380. The 43 came right after that, which is a 9mm. It was their first slimline Glock. Now, if you notice, slimline, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, slimline versus double stack. You can see how thin the frame is. And here on my Glock 19, you'll see the double stack frame. So you see the difference. You know, this one obviously is a lot thinner the frame right from here to here than from here to here. Hence, the magazines are called single stack magazines. Now, like I said, some people have been confused with the magazines. Here's the Glock 43 magazine. It came out with a 6-round capacity. Here's the Glock 43X magazine. It comes out with a 10-round capacity. You can see the different rounds there. Okay, the magazines are slightly larger, as you can see. The 43X is larger than the 43. And only really a little bit, but enough to make a difference if you're looking for a concealed carry gun. Like I said, the 43X now is still the super hot. It's more popular than the 43. But a lot of people still carry the 43, and we see a lot of sales actually for the 42 because it's even smaller yet and lighter. And that's really important for concealed carry. You want to have a gun that, you know, one is easy to carry, something that is small enough that you're going to carry every day and you're not going to be bothered by it. You're almost going to forget you have it on. I find that to be true with the 43X. And if you had a 42, it's tiny compared to even both these guns here. But you'll see that the single stack for both of these, and we just showed you the magazines, 43, 43X, and again, not to be confused with, say, a 9mm 10-round magazine. Somewhere on this table, I'll find it, is I have a Glock 19 magazine that is 10 rounds. Now, if you look in here close, you'll see, obviously, they both have just a single line of holes for counting. And that's where people get confused. They think, okay, well, you know, I just want that, you know, single stack. But you'll notice that this guy for the 19, this magazine for the 19, is wider than this one for the 43X. Even though they're basically the same size as far as height and length, they are not compatible. The followers are significantly different, even though they're both orange. All right, but be totally aware of the fact that the 43X is a single stack, whereas the 10-round Glock 19 magazine is considered a double stack, even though these holes line up in a single line, and it kind of leads one to believe that they are double stacked. Now, back to the 43. 43 is a great little gun, like I said. It's tiny. It comes to you with 2 magazines, a 6-rounder, and then this one here, same 6-rounder with a little finger extension on it. Okay, doesn't add any rounds, but it does give you a little bit more something to hold on to. That's one of the big, you know, challenges with these small guns is, you know, they're tiny, and as you shoot them, they start to vibrate around. So there are some solutions for that. We have extensions that go on the bottom. We'll talk more about those in a little bit. And we also have what they did with the X grip for this particular gun. They ETS developed a 9-round magazine for the 43. All right, you can see it sticks out. But then X-Grip said, hey, I'll develop an X-Grip for that particular setup and now give you a much better grip. You can see it encapsulates my whole hand with a thinner package, still slim line, and now it has 9 rounds. And it's lighter than the 43X. Okay, as you'll see that the slide is a little bit larger on the 43X than it is on the 43. Just a little bit, but definitely significantly different. So that said, this 43 is a neat little package if you dial it up right. And that's what it's all about, is all these accessories we're talking about here. The 43X magazine, where is it? It's right here. It fits natively into the 43. I have a 43X. I have the EDC Magwell on here that helps promote a better grip because it pushes my hand up both in the front, right here on the pinky, as well as on the rear, around the butt of my hand. Kind of gives me a place to anchor and to index so that I know that I'm in a consistent grip. I know that the grip is the same. I want to be in the same spot every time because that allows me to have more consistent accuracy. As I mount the gun, if my grip is the same, the gun's going to be in the same spot, which means that it's going to be where I want it to be. Boom. So you want to mount the gun to have your sights pre-aligned. A little bit of lint on my front sight. This is my 43X that I carry. Like I said, the EDC Magwell helps promote a better grip. A couple other things that are available for the 43X is Shield Arms makes a magazine, a 15-round magazine, and we have just come out with a +2 extension on the bottom. So there's a 15-rounder by itself that fits and functions into the 43X, as well as the +2 gives you 17, and still a nice little package to be concealed. These magazines are steel. We sell a ton of them because there's a ton of these 43Xs out there, and it's actually not bad to have more rounds. So versus, say, 10, now you can have 15, or 15 + 2 would give you 17. So that's the skinny on these 43X versus the 43 magazines. They are not compatible whatsoever. This 43 magazine, you know, will kind of go in there, but it's not going to lock up, and it's just not going to be long enough. And again, we looked at the sizes of these things, and it's not even close. Now, like I said, some people are going to get that Glock 19 magazine, that 10-round Glock 19 magazine, and think, ooh, that looks like a 43 because it's a 43X is so darn close, but it won't even go into the gun. So no problems or worries about that. That's it for the 43X. Let's move on to this next segment. Now, one of the cool things about Glock magazines is that there's so many aftermarket accessories for them to increase your functionality, your performance with it, but also to increase magazine capacity. And one such animal is this extension that goes onto the bottom of your magazine. Now, I've got a full video on how to assemble these, and that's a separate video, but I wanted to show them to you because they're so darn important. This is a Glock 17-round magazine with a +5 9mm, all right, which is really interesting. So now you've got 22 rounds in a Glock 17 magazine. And it's really cool. This one, I've got the black extension with the red base plate. So you can mix and match colors and do some fun stuff. Here's a gold one, you know. Comes with a spring, comes with the 2 Allen screws to go ahead and assemble it. Like I said, there's a full video on assembly. But what's really cool about these things is that they honestly work great, but they give you that extra 5 rounds. So for competition shooters, they love these things. They do, you know, they're kind of bulky, you know, I mean, that's for sure. But bottom line is when you are shooting, it's always more fun to have more rounds because you don't have to stop and reload, especially when you're in competition. We've got them for all the different guns, 19, 17, 26, 27, to add additional rounds. you know, and they come with their own special spring, okay? So now remember we talked about the spring before and how many coils were in it. Well, 10 coils. Now all of a sudden, if we count these coils, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 coils. So it's a little bit larger of a spring because you're now making the magazine a little bit larger. So it's an extra power spring that works well with these extensions. Like I said, you can mix and match your colors, which I think is pretty cool because then you can identify that they are in fact yours. But also, you know, just looks cool. So the magazine extensions, we've got them really kind of across the board for all different styles. Here's one that's pretty interesting. I'm not gonna take it out of the package, but you can see how big that spring is. Well, that's the extension for this guy. So now all of a sudden, instead of 33, we're gonna put in there 31 plus 5, 36. That's a pretty cool little package. Now we sell these in two ways. We sell them as the extension by itself, and we also sell it pre-installed on a magazine. So you know, that's a fun way to get them, is just buy the magazine and have it pre-installed. A lot of people in California or people with 10-round magazines will ask, hey, can I add the magazine extension onto the 10-round magazine and get now 15 rounds, 10 plus 5? And the short answer is no. And there's a reason for that. Let me go ahead and tell you why. So if you take a 10-round magazine apart, let's see where that is. Okay, here's one right here. When you take it apart, if you look inside of it, you'll see that they being Glock, have engineered it so that the walls of the magazine taper so that it will not accept any more than 10 rounds. That's why the springs are different as well. So keeping that in mind, you cannot take a 10-round magazine and alter it to have higher capacity. You can put an inert base on it if you wanted to put one of our heavy aluminum base plates or just a fingertip extension or something like that. You can do that, but you cannot add any additional rounds to a 10-round magazine. That's just the way they made it, and they made it, you know, for compliance with the U.S. regulations. So if you have a 10-round magazine, it's a 10-round magazine. Like I said, you can put an inert base on it, but you cannot add any additional rounds. Now, in the Glock world, because it's so popular, a lot of companies have also started making magazines, aftermarket magazines. We already talked about the Shield and how it fits into the Glock 43X, the Shield 15-round magazine, plus now with a two-round extension. And that's a great option, again, because it comes with a 10-round magazine, and honestly, more ammo is always better. So, a couple other companies that are worth mentioning. ETS makes a magazine, which I think is pretty cool because it's clear. You can actually see the rounds go inside of it. These are good magazines. I mean, they're inexpensive. They're way less expensive than the Glock factory. Would I want to go to war with one? No. I'd rather have a Glock factory magazine. But these work, okay? So that's really important. The other one worth mentioning is the Magwells magazine. Both these are Glock 17 magazines. Okay, this is a 17-rounder. This is a 17-rounder. They fit and function the same. Here's a Glock 17. Go in, pop out just as expected. Okay. The nice thing about this is you can actually see how many rounds are in it right away. You don't have to read it, you know, that kind of thing. That's kind of neat. The Magwells is a little bit more, well, just a little rougher, you know, looking. It's just, you know, got one simple hole down here that says 17. So when you see that round poking out there, you know you've got 17 in there. It fits. They function as well. You know, and again, would I prefer to have a Glock magazine? You bet your life on it. But these are actually low cost, and they do work. And a lot of people use them. So, you know, I'm not going to shame anybody for using them. They actually will save you money, and it's nice to have a lot of magazines. All right. A lot of guys I know will have a ton of these for practice, and then they're going to have, you know, a good selection of the real for real life. But the aftermarket magazine world is here. We sell them, and you know, never really get them back. No one, you know, says they don't work. So that's a good thing to know. That the fact is that, you know, we've sold a good quantity of them, and we don't get them back. So they are functioning out there in the real world. So it's something to consider for your, you know, for your Glock family of items. So there we go. Next up. All right, one last thing that I want to talk about for magazines are Magwells. Now, I've done a whole bunch of videos on Magwells, installation videos and all that. They really have a purpose for loading magazines. Basically, here's what a Magwell does. It fits on the bottom of the frame and gives you a larger well in which to load magazines. The other nice thing about Magwells is they actually help improve your grip. We've designed this big mouth magwell with a finger groove on the front there for your left hand. As you grip the gun, you can see this allows you to get right on top of it. Now, again, I can't tell you enough about grip. If your grip is better, if your grip is stronger, if your grip is more consistent, you're going to shoot faster, better, more consistently. I mean, that's it. So really, life starts and ends with two things: grip and front sight. That's what shooting's all about. Being able to have a good consistent grip and a good presentation, and then really being able to index your sights, whether it be a red dot reticle or whether it be the front sight. You need to be able to train your eye to pick that up fast as you put it on the target. The Magwells allow you to have a better grip and a more consistent grip. So with my 43X, we have what we call our little EDC Magwell, and we have these available for 19 and 17, Gen 3 and Gen 5 as well. It's more of a carry Magwell. This big mouth is more of a competition Magwell. You can see how big it is. And the EDC Magwell's everyday carry is more designed for your carry hand, and it does provide you with just enough meat to push up your fingers and your little pinky finger and the base or butt of your palm there to entice you or encourage you to have a better grip. A better grip is when you're high up on the tang or the beaver tail of the gun, and the higher up you are, the more controllable you'll be because you're closer to the axis of the bore. So that's really what these are all about. So whether it be the competition version, which allows you to have faster reloads, or whether it be the EDC, they both provide you with that better grip. Now, will the EDC give you better reloads? It's not much bigger. It's definitely bigger than the factory, that's for sure. So if I'm looking at a magazine and I'm going in to go ahead and pop that in there, I've got a little bit of space. You know, the way you want to operate a Magwell or any reload is you want to bring that gun up to your face. You don't want to reload out here. You want to bring it back to your face so it's just a little bit more ergonomic for your hand to come in and then go back straight out. So that's really the concept behind the loading. Will the EDC make your loads faster? Maybe a little bit, but I really feel that the benefit of the EDC is the grip enhancement. And the same here with this big mouth Magwell. It's designed to enhance the grip as well as facilitate faster reloads. Okay, before we leave, I've got one more item to show you. It's a brand new item. I saw these guys at the SHOT Show, and it's pretty interesting. It's a locking magazine. Okay, so there's two versions. One is the GoSafe Mobile Safe, and there's one called the GoSafe Mobile Mag. All right, GoSafe is the company name. The Mobile Safe refers to the item that is kind of an inert magazine. It's inert in the sense that it has no capacity to hold rounds, but it does lock the gun up. It's got a key lock right here on the bottom. Twist the lock, you'll see that out pops a pretty heavy-duty piece of steel that actually locks up the components of the gun. So the way you work this, a couple of things to notice too, by the way, is as you turn this to the white button, that is the locked button, a little indicator tab pops up here that you can feel in the dark, as also you can see it too. But one of the things to work with on this guy is how it operates. So basically, if you came home and you wanted to lock your gun up and you didn't have a safe or somewhere else to put it, but you really want it kind of readily available versus in a big safe that you've got to do a combination or it's across the room or something like that, you can actually drop the magazine out and drop in the mobile safe and now lock it, and now take the key and manage the key however you want. But the key here, the concept here is that it won't go bang. You can't rack the slide. Basically, you cannot operate this gun. We know that this one is unloaded because you have the mobile safe in it that doesn't carry rounds. Bottom line is now anybody who accesses that gun has to find the magazine, but they can't even put a magazine into it unless they unlock it. Now again, to unlock it, you want to take that paddle, make sure you line it up with the white dot, pop the paddle in, and pop the key in, and then turn it, drop it, get your magazine, load, and go. Well, a little bit of time there. There's another option though, and that is the GoSafe Mobile Mag, and they call it Mobile Mag because this one is a functioning magazine. It's right here, excuse me. This one is a functioning magazine that actually takes rounds and fires with rounds. It does have the same locking capacity. See that? It pops out right like so. It does have the indicator button, and you can see that when it's locked, it's on the white position. In the red position, it's ready to fire. You can load your magazine up. You can even load one in the chamber. Pop this mobile mag in there, lock it, and it will not function. Take the key, you can't remove the magazine. It's locked into place. Now, keep in mind, you may have a round in the chamber, and you have rounds in the magazine. So to unlock, basically now we just go ahead, place the key in the proper position, turn it, boom, and it's ready to go. Just like that. All right, so it's pretty amazing. Little device that just came out, brand new. Interested to see how it goes. If you're looking for a way to secure your firearms and you don't have a big safe, or if the big safe is too far away and you want to have a firearm close by, the mobile mag makes a little bit of sense in the sense that you can actually lock it and have a key and take the key with you and then just manage that key as you go about your day. So there it is. That is the GoSafe mobile safe. There's a big dissertation on all kinds of Glock magazines. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time.